What's going on, guys? This is Kaishiro. Welcome back. So for our video today, we're going to cover top 5 sleeper decks of August 2023 OCG metagame format. So these are the decks that are under the radar and underrated as well. These decks are not topping in ridiculous numbers every week, and these decks are not represented as well enough to be considered as one of the decks to beat on the format. So these are the unconventional decks that can give you edge and a surprise factor against the best decks on the format. So without further ado, let's get started. Coming at number 5, we have Metabit. So Metabit is a very linear deck that most OCG players are going to when the format is still not solved, especially post Agov. There's a lot of decks that are still unsolved on the format. We have Horus decks and we have Sinful Spoils decks that are changing every week, and there's a lot of metagame changes as well. So I think Metabit is one of the decks that can give you some comfort on dealing against the meta right now. And the thing with Metabit is it is a very linear deck. It relies on floodgate monsters like Border and Patchy and Ryo that can stun a lot of decks on the format. And they also have powerful floodgates that can turn into when supporting their setup like Gozen Match and Fissure, Dimensional Fissure, and Macrocosmos. Those meta-relevant floodgates that can stun and damage those powerful decks right now on the format on the meta. And they also have cards like Solemn Strike, those plethora of powerful trap cards that they can rely on dealing against the best decks on the format like Solemn Strike and Ring of Destruction and something like Mirror Force on their disposal. And I think players can be punished if they're not playing around those trap lineup of the Metabit. And also, Metabit is particularly good on the format for me because many players are not respecting back row enough. They are ditching their Cosmic Cyclone and Lightning Storm, and sometimes evenly match at that extent to patronize Ghost Bells and Ghost Mourners and Veilers on their side deck and main deck. So they are not respecting back row enough, to be honest. So I think that's the world where Metabit can shine if players are not cannot out the floodgates and back row strategy of Metabit. They will struggle against Metabit. And also, I think the format is pretty much mid-range oriented. There's a lot of Veiler and Mourner and Droll and Lockbird and Nibiru. Those hand traps that are really relevant right now in the format does nothing against the Metabit. So that's where the edge of Metabit comes from. I think most decks are not prepared on beating Metabit right now on the format. But the problem of Metabit is still the same. They are very weak against blowout cards like Evenly Match and Harpy's Feather Duster. So yeah, I think post side deck and post game 2 and 3, that's where the struggle of Metabit comes from. But nonetheless, at number 5, I think Metabit is one of the most and best sleeper decks right now in the format. So at number 5, we have Metabit. Going towards the number 4, we have Elitch, Sinful Spoils with Synchron and Synchro Plays. So this is one of the most innovative decks right now in the format. We have Elitch that can control the tempo of the game, and we have Sinful Spoils that can provide negation and other shenanigans using the Sinful Spoils engine and Diabel Star Witch on the deck. So it gives negation towards the Elitch that they can use with Synchro Plays also. They can bring out something like Barone to protect their board. And also with Sinful Spoils, it provides negation as well, so that they can protect their floodgate lineup. Like there can be only one, and summon limit those practical floodgates towards the Elitch and usual floodgates on the Elitch. So yeah, I think it's a very nice deck right now in the format. Many players cannot outgrind the Elitch because they have such a very strong grind game as well. And also the Synchron and Synchro Plays and the Sinful Spoils provides ample negation to protect and elevate the ceiling of the Elitch strategy. It takes back when Elitch has been a Synchro deck with the Mecha Phantom Beast Lion and Jet Synchron back in the 2020, I assume. Yeah, those Synchro Elitch plays. I think it's a revamp and I think cameo on Synchron Elitch for this 2023 Sinful Spoils Elitch. And the problem of Elitch is still the same. They are trap-based decks, so they are very prone to red reboot. If red reboot doesn't exist, I think this deck is a very strong contender. But sadly, red reboot is automatic card on the side deck of many people right now in the format. But nonetheless, I think it is a very powerful and underrated deck as well on the format. So at number 4, we have Sinful Spoils Elitch with Synchron. Going towards the number 3, we have Brigade Horus. So this is also a revelation on this metagame format. We have seen Horus engines and decks right now in the format that are doing well, and Brigade Horus is one of them. The thing with Brigade Horus is they capitalize on the discard mechanics of the Horus engine by discarding their Nerval and Kit to gain advantages and card advantages towards those mechanics. By discarding the Kit and Nerval, they gain cards and add cards for their hand that can start their plays using the Brigade engine. So I think it's one of the good decks right now that incorporates Horus, and it is also strong when going first. It can set up a 3 negate Tapaloosa for the very least, and Revolt as well. So they now have 3 negations and banish from the Shurig from the Revolt, and also they can also make a rank 8 monster on their side of the field using the Horus. So it can bring out something like Harbinger or Photon Lord that gives another form of negation and interruption for them. And also if they are struck with Maxi, they can just use Fractal and use their materials on the graveyard to link summon for something like Double Dragon Lord if they want to play conservatively around Maxi. So it's a deck that can play around Maxi, and also it has a very strong going second because Fractal and other Brigade monsters are 1 card access code most of the time, so it can really swing for damage and go for game if you don't have interruptions to interrupt the going second of Brigade Horus. But the problem of Brigade Horus is they are pretty much weak against the most hand traps right now in the format. We have Ash Blossom that is on everyone's main deck. 1 Ash Blossom on Kit or Nerval can spell the end of the deck of Brigade Horus, and cards like Veiler and Imperm on their choke points into something like Kit and Nerval and Keras and Ferregit can really end the turn of Brigade. So yeah, I think those are the things that prevents the Brigade Horus to the top, to compete at the top, because they are very prone to a lot of hand traps on the format. But nonetheless, I think this is a fairly decent deck that you can play and compete on the format. So at number 3, we have Brigade Horus. Going towards the number 2, we have Sprite Beastial. So it's one of the most meta-relevant decks from 2 to 3 formats ago with the Sprite that is very busted with Sprite Elf, and yeah, with Beastial as well. So this is a very combo-ish deck that capitalizes on the summoning mechanics of Beastial and Sprite so that they can procure their summoning on their board into something like Beastial Dispater or Barone. So they can set up multiple negations and interruptions using the Sprite engine and Beastial engine, and also they are very powerful when going first because they can set up multiple negations and powerful monsters and high attack monsters on the board that can really swing for damage when you cannot break the board of Beastial Sprite. But the problem of Beastial Sprite is still the same. Most combo decks as well tend to struggle against Maxi, of course. The OCG format is warped around Maxi. That's why this deck cannot shine that well, because Maxi is a thing on OCG format, so it really struggles around Maxi, and very prone as well on certain hand traps like Ghost Bell that can stop the Beastial shenanigans and other things on this deck. So yeah, it's kinda prone to many hand traps right now in the format. But I do rate this deck as one of the better combo decks that you can play on the format using the Beastial as well, that can be very strong against tier laments. So I think it's one of the better decks that you can play to counter the tier lament strategy right now in the format that is very relevant still on this metagame. So at number 2, we have Beastial Sprite. Moving towards the number 1, we have Hero or Heroes. So Heroes is one of the most favorite decks of many players on the OCG, especially GX fans of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX franchise. It's been a go-to deck of anime fans and enthusiasts of GX era. But I think Hero is a deck that you cannot just justify with nostalgia. I think this deck is legit and can really compete against the very best decks on the format. They are very strong against the meta because the meta are kinda graveyard centric. Many decks like Tier Laments on the format does struggle when they don't have graveyard access, and Heroes is very known for against those things because with Dark Claw they can really stun a lot of decks on the format. Branded struggles against Dark Claw. We have also purely the struggle against Dark Claw, and especially Tier Laments, and with Sinful Spells that are moving on the graveyard as well. They are pretty weak against Dark Claw as well. And also, Heroes can really go second with huge attack monsters and powerful combo line of plays that can really push for damage and go for OTK. So this deck can be very strong turn 1 with a setup of Dark Claw, and also can be really powerful when going second. Also paired with Droplet and Triple Tactics talent that can supplement their going second capability. So I think Hero is one of the better decks and sleeper decks right now on the format that you can play. But the problem of Hero is still the same. Of course, Nibiru is an automatic card that can spell the end of the turn of the hero player. With Nibiru on the format, I think it's really a struggle and concern for heroes. And also, Drolian Lockbird is as well is still popular because purely is still very relevant on the format. Purely the struggle against Drolian Lockbird, and so is Hero. So they will struggle around Drolian Lockbird post game 2 and 3. And also the most popular going first card right now on the format, we do have Dimensional Barrier that is also searchable by Triple Tactics Trust. That is very common and prominent going first strategy right now in the format. And Dimensional Barrier can really end the turn of Hero because they are really linear on fusion summoning mechanics. So Dimensional Barrier can stop those fusion shenanigans from Hero. So yeah, but I think aside from those negative things that you can consider with Hero, I think this is one of the better decks that you can pilot on the format to answer the meta and as well to have fun because Heroes is generally good on art and card design. So yeah, at number 1 we have Hero. So short recap for our top 5 sleeper decks, we have Metabit at number 5. We have Sinful Spoils, Synchron Elitch at number 4. We have Brigade Horus on number 3. And at number 2 we have Beastial Sprite. And at number 1 we have Heroes. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you do like this video. And hit the subscription button if you're not yet subscribed on my YouTube channel. And hit the notification bell if you want to get more updated on my future contents. So see you on the next one. Peace.